Welcome, Sarah.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. Let's dive in. What inspired your journey into community agriculture, and how did you find your way to the Giving Grove?
Well, agriculture is a little bit just in my blood. My grandfather is actually an agricultural scientist for Texas A&M, and he actually spent a lot of time developing new strands of fruits for food production. I went to college for marketing, but I had the idea that I wanted to be for a nonprofit. It took me a while to get a position. I spent about 10 years being a freelance marketer, and when I decided I wanted to join the traditional workforce, I knew that the only way I would want to work is the nonprofit I had already been volunteering with for about 7 years, and that was the Giving Grove. The first Giving Grove orchard had been planted across the street from me, and I had watched it be planted. I had spent years helping the orchard steward take care of the trees, and I just really saw the power of an urban orchard and wanted to join in that journey.
Okay. So you said your grandfather was creating strands?
So he was cross-pollinating different types of blackberries and tomatoes to make them have more meat, less seeds, so that they were better for food production. So the Roma tomato, he was on the team that created the Roma tomato.
Oh, now that's tight. Nice. So I know when we were down there, you were working in the grove that's next to your in your neighborhood. Tell us more about that one. I know you had a great story about how that came.
Yeah. So in like 2011 or so, our founders were working or volunteering some time with another nonprofit, packing backpacks of food for kids to take home on the weekends. And they wondered if there was a way that they could help provide food to communities while also improving the urban environment. And one of the folks they were trying to do was really to grow trees. And so he was trying out urban orchards. Simultaneously, at the same time, in my neighborhood, our one public school, elementary school, had been shuttered due to low enrollment, and parents were coming together to convince the school district to reopen the school. And the school district had said, if you can prove to us that you have community involvement and parents and neighbors who want to support the school, then we will support reopening it. So the parent group opened a school, and the Giving Grove decided to partner together, and they planted the first Giving Grove at the school. And the goal of it was to, one, test the idea of having an urban orchard to see if it was good, active, if the community was going to fall in line with it. And the parents were using this as an opportunity to pull neighbors into the school property and have them use it as a community space. And it worked. Within a year, the school opened. And now it'd be about 7 years, 8 years later, it's the number one public school in our neighborhood or in our city.
Nice. When I heard this story, I was like, man, I can't wait to answer that.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, I've lived there for 16 years, and when I moved in there, everyone was moving out. It was just elderly who had been living there for generations, and maybe some young folks who appreciating that you could get a large house for a low rent, but as soon as they got married or had kids or school, they would move out of the neighborhood. And now that the school is open, everyone is staying, and it's a real community hub.
Yeah. When we was there, working in the orchard or volunteering in the orchard, it was a lot of families, at that school, like the park and the, playground. So, it's definitely a great place to be. Talk to us about, have you always been the community manager of the Giving Grove, or did you start off in another position?
So when my son started going to school at that elementary school, I became Giving Grove. But then it was about 6 years ago, almost 6 years ago, that I applied to become communications manager for the Giving Grove. I didn't realize when I applied at that moment that they were actually opening up their national office, and this position would be for the national office. And since I've been with them, my role has grown, and now I'm the director of marketing and communications. But as far as national outreach goes, I've been the only person to have this role.
Okay, all right, and congratulations.
Thank you.
And how long you said you were in this position?
It's probably been 5.5 years.
Okay, you do. I know you do, but I'm still gotta ask you. You like it?
I love it. I feel so lucky. When I was coming out of graduate school, a lot of people asked me what I wanted to do now, and I said, I'm going to do marketing for a nonprofit one day, and everyone said that doesn't exist, that nonprofits can't afford to have someone doing their marketing. But I knew that the best way for a nonprofit to be successful is to have someone amplifying the voice and the brand of the nonprofit. Mm-hmm. I had to wait about 10 years before the world caught up to my idea, and to be able to do the work I always wanted to do with a mission that I feel so 100% behind and have experienced for is a dream come true.
Nice. I'm going to go to some questions that some of the people knew you was coming. Wanted to ask. So shout out to all the supporters who sent in questions for Sarah. One of them is, what do you believe are the greatest barriers to sustainable food access in urban-owned communities?
Land access. There's so many areas that have just vacant land sitting, and it could be used in so many ways. I love the idea of putting urban there, but having a pocket park, having a resource center is much better use of the land than nothing happening. But getting property owners in the cities to release the rights on those lands can be really difficult. And then once you have that land access, a lot of times it has to do with training, resources, and supplies to access to them. And so there are a lot of really amazing nonprofits and organizations out there helping people source those materials, but it can be a struggle. You have to have a lot of community support behind it.
Okay. Do you have any stories of certain struggles besides the one in your neighborhood? Were there any other ones that was hard to get the land to start doing agriculture on it?
Gosh, I'm trying to think of one. I can think of a few examples. There is a park here in Kansas City that was a really big community gathering space, and at some point in the Kansas City, they decided to right through the park, which is a classic story. And it left this triangle of land that couldn't be accessed by the rest of the park. And so it's city-owned land, nothing done on it. And in the meantime, it was overgrown, it was becoming a dumping area, and it was really low value in the livability of that neighborhood. And this is a neighborhood that had already experienced a lot of divestment over the years and crumbling infrastructure and no support. So there was a community group who together, and they were able to petition from the city to lease the land for free. Basically, they're able to have a community garden there. It's still parks land, but they're able to maintain it. And having access to that land and being able to keep it useful and healthy it has ripple effects throughout the whole neighborhood. It gives them a place to hang out, to pick fruit, to even grab some water if they need some water, hang out and have a picnic. And then secondly, having that nice space there helps protect the value of the homes that surround it, which are families that have been.
Yeah, I mean, it all makes sense. And I know we visited at least 5 out in Kansas City with you. And I mean, it looked beautiful, and it definitely had a sense of community gathering. I don't want to butcher her name.
Ami.
I was gonna say it right. Ami. That one was really inspiring, especially with the wooden gazebo with the rules on it, and was the other side part of it too, where the painting was on the I guess I don't know what to call that, but
the storage shed.
No, not the storage shed. On the left side of it, going toward the street where the park. I guess that's a little park over there.
Yeah, I think that is definitely part of that, but I think that it's a relatively new addition to it. I was especially excited to bring the Carondelet check out that orchard. I was introduced to the Carondelet food patch pretty early on in my journey with the Giving. One of the first things I wanted to start at the Giving Grove was your stewards from other cities. And when I reached out to Steve, Dean told me about Laura and wanted me to profile her. And so Carondelet Food Patch is actually one of the first orchards I found out in St. Louis. And just having learned about the orchard through Laura and then watched their journey through the year, social media and through little here and there, what you guys are doing at Carondelet really reminded me of what's going on at Longfellow Farm, which is the place you're talking about, where it's an area that it's a piece of land that's not being used, can't be used, and you're turning it into something useful.
Yeah, and since we came from that trip, we developed a lot. We started to get the other half of it excavated and ready for the gazebo to put over there. We got trees planted. So
amazing.
We're looking pretty good to start off this spring. Well, the summer now, because we're already in the spring. But you gave us some good inspiration, man. I very much appreciate that.
Well, I was happy to take you guys around, but all that inspiration is due to the volunteers who are doing the hard work. Each one of these orchards, just like, at Carondelet, it's an asset of the community. It's completely theirs. It's their planning. It's their plans. It's their community. And if they weren't doing that hard work and weren't so committed to their neighbors, nothing that I do would matter. So it's really all thanks to them.
You show right about that. And that leads me right to the next question. How can everyday citizens get involved with orchard programs or similar efforts in their own communities?
Yeah. Well, what's cool about the Giving Grove Network now is that we're in 16 cities across the country, and there's 657 orchards, give or take, or two. And so there's a good and live close by a Giving Grove program. If you live especially in Kansas City or St. Louis, you probably have a community orchard within a few miles of you. And so what I would encourage anyone to do is to check out their local program hub, and in St. Louis, that's Seed St. Louis, and reach out to them about which orchard are being community gardens are located near you, and give them a call and ask if you can help out. I can't think of a single orchard steward who wouldn't welcome and to come and help.
That's true, because we definitely love our volunteers, and we definitely need some more, and we're open hands. Our volunteer days are every first and third Saturday of the month from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. So don't be shy to come on down. We're welcoming you. So volunteers are the heartbeat of these orchards, of course. What have you found to be the most effective strategies for engaging and retaining local stewards?
I mean, I think what you're doing by having regular work days is a really great first step. I think that when your community can depend on someone to be there and know that every Saturday they can come and help, or they can someone who knows what's going on, I think that's the very first start. But you also need to have moments where you're not working. And so that's where worker celebrations come into play. My orchard that I steward now, I have a birthday party every April 22nd, which happens to be Earth Day, because that's when our orchard was planted. And then we also have mulch parties. And so shoveling mulch isn't a lot of fun, but you usually have donuts, coffee, maybe even some beer for our volunteers. And then we have our apple pickings and harvest parties. We have a wassail party that people come out in the wintertime into the trees. And having those celebrations builds the friendship and the community behind the volunteers, so that when they do come and help out every other Saturday from 9 to 11, they're not just a volunteer, they're coming to spend time with their friends.
Okay, all right. I like that. Something about beer 30. All right.
Yeah.
Now, what about for the children? What would you suggest?
I think that kids love being in an orchard. There's so many people who say that kids don't want to ride and they only want to be on video. I just think that's sort of BS. I think that kids want to be outside, but the grown-ups don't want to take them outside. Anytime I'm working out in the orchard, I have every kid see me running to me asking if they can help. They want to climb the ladder. They want to pick the fruit. They want to help pull they want to push a wheelbarrow. So I think that a lot of it is trusting kids to have the autonomy to take on tasks and being okay if they're not perfect at it. If they're thinning fruit for you, they're going to mess up. They're going to pull a little too much once in a while. That's okay. The important part is they're engaging with nature and they're spending time outdoors.
Most definitely. I love bringing my twins to the orchard, and they run around. They 12 years old, so they be wanting to do work and they be wanting to play. So I think it's a good experience.
Yeah, it's a combination. I have a 12-year-old too. He now has graduated to Will.
Okay. Now let's talk about this, because we all, as far as the Carondelet Food Patch, we sit back and have meetings and talk about this a lot. Funding. How can grassroots organizations secure meaningful support? Are there unconventional routes that you've succeeded with?
Yeah, I can kind of speak to this both from the organizational program and then also as being a volunteer myself. Because even though I work for the Gift Grove, I still have to fundraise for my orchard all on my own with my orchard steward partner. So if I'm talking with my Giving Grove hat on, my biggest piece of advice is to collaborate with organizations who have similar businesses in the area. So there's a group that's growing gardens, and we try to go with them. A lot of donors are opportunities to hit a lot of people at once in different ways. And so they might get an idea of being once and it hit two different Myself, as an orchard student, I've found that I've applied for a lot of grants and I've never been awarded one. But each time I apply for a grant, I follow up with the organization. I ask them what they thought of my application, what could have been better. I want to tell them a little more about my story. And doing that, I've been able to connect with donors that are interested in supporting our orchard. A good example of this is I have applied for a lot of kids gardening grants and haven't received a single one, which can be really disappointing. But their creator had a corporate donor who was looking for someone to work with in Kansas City, and she looked through the file and saw that I had applied so many times and never been awarded one, and she made me a connection with that corporate donor. And now they come out and about 6 hours a year volunteering, but they also donate around $700 each time they come out and volunteer. And so for an orchard on your size and the support that you have, $700 go really far. That really takes care of like all of our amendments, everything we do for the year. And I think this year might even help us get some water access to our orchard. So I think that the two big things is collaborate when you can, and always follow up. If you don't get the grant, still call them, make friends with them, make sure that they remember in your mission.
Okay. Network.
I like to call it just making best friends. I hate the word network. Ask me to go into a happy hour and network, I won't do it. Ask me to go into a happy hour and make best friends, I can do that all day.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna put that in my my definition of that. Make friends, make best friends. Yes. That's good. Yeah. That is a good way. That's why I'm gonna go to Dallas. I'm gonna go to Dallas, not to network, but to make some best friends. I like
exactly.
All right. Politics often play a complicated role in local agriculture. In your experience, how do government policies help or hinder your mission?
Gosh, they can get in the way and be helpful in so many different ways. Our office has an orchard just out the window here that is on Parks land, and they're helpful because they come and mow without us even having to ask, which is wonderful. They're not helpful. They can try to take out our orchard anytime they feel like it. So that can be hard, but there are some cities who really treat these orchard spaces as a third base, something that's good for the city infrastructure. And in those cities, you'll see the cities providing water access, traffic, electricity, extra security. And in those spots, you can see these community hubs really thrive. I think that for most cities, and they haven't come to recognize these urban agriculture spaces as being part of the infrastructure. And we would love to see that happen moving forward, that a city recognizes that groups like Carondelet Food Patch are using a piece of land that they don't have to now manage or maintain. You're keeping it healthy, you're safe, and your city should repay you by giving you simple things like trash recycling.
Well, yeah, man, and then you would think that would be a no-brainer for not only the community, but for the city, for the state, for the country. But sometimes it's just not like that.
Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of stepping into social advocacy lately. And what we're finding as we're talking to these politicians is they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
And we know when we talk to them and they have no idea that certain things are happening, or that orchards are being, might be threatened. And once we tell them, they're like, oh, wow, that's not right. Let me see how I can help you. But it's hard. you have a 9 to 5 job and managing this order on your free time. When are you supposed to go and talk to your politicians? And so it's hard, but it's good to make friends with your local council people and let them be in. I know that at St. Louis, the folks there, they invite every politician to a happy hour every year, regardless of which side of the aisle they're on, just so they can kind of fill in what's going on in the city and the urban agricultural world, and also allow time for all these folks who work in politics to kind of talk to each other across the aisle and have some time to like come up with some bipartisan ideas.
Yeah, it's good to be best friends with your local politicians. If there was one piece of legislation or policy change that could revolutionize neighborhood farming, what would it be?
Oh my gosh, that's a big question.
Yeah.
Oh man, right now I have on my head all this federal funding that's very up in the air. I mean, I never would have thought a year ago I would say this, but I would say if you've been promised federal funding, they can't take it back. Okay. That would probably be the first thing to say. But I think that allowing communities to feed themselves should always be a law. You should allow communities to feed themselves, to have that food sovereignty and not be as dependent on the system that we've created. And it should never be a question of whether or not someone can grow and sell food in their community.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Let's talk about the future of the Give and Grow. What does success look like for you 5 years from now? What would it look like? And how can cities like St. Louis get there with you?
Yeah, well, we're bringing St. Louis. St. Louis is actually our first city to expand into. And so we're very close with the program, and the Giving Grove program manager, Dean Gunderson, is an integral part to education in our network. We hope to be in 20 cities pretty soon, and we want to be able to provide 1 billion pounds of free, fresh produce annually. And to do that, we have to plant a lot of trees. We have to support a lot of volunteer orchard stewards. But I think we can do it. Right now, with the orchards that we have planted, at the full potential, we'll be making 1.5 million pounds of food a year, which ends up being about 4.4 million servings a year. So if you think about that, we're just at 6 cities now. Every city we add on makes us exponentially grow. And then on top of all the orchards, all this community involvement, what's happening is all coming together and talking together and exchanging knowledge and advocating together. And I think that kind of collaboration is going to be really powerful moving forward. So, we just want to keep growing. We want to keep investing in orchards that are there. And we want to all hear back from folks like Carondelet to see like what area so that we can start sourcing these things.
Okay, all right. Y'all heard that. We're gonna be in over 20 cities. How many states we in?
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. We're just talking about that. I think it has to be around 30. And the reason why it's hard to calculate is, for instance, our affiliate, he's actually planting in about 4 states now. In Kansas City, St. Louis is 2 states. A lot of our cities are sort of on the border, but we think it's probably around 30 states. Okay.
Got 20 more to go. Or is it 21?
Well, yeah.
Well, I'm tripping. 31. I missed 10.
So we're hoping to be in 20.
Okay. All right. If they wanted to get first of all, well, I don't even want to ask that yet. What events do you have coming up for the Giving Grove?
Well, we're tying up our first month campaign. We do most of our most of our fundraising in April. We had an event that was a luncheon where we had a chef named Chef Amber Williams in Dallas and a book called Surviving the Food Desert. So she really growing and providing for what you have and making healthy meals when you don't have a lot of access. And so that was a really powerful event. And then now we're just fundraising. We're trying to fill gaps left by uncertain federal funding. A lot of our affiliate cities had been awarded federal funding, and now it's kind of being in limbo. They don't have it or not. But in the meantime, they've committed to doing some really amazing projects. And so we are fundraising now to try to help them still be able to do those projects.
Nice. So if anybody wanted to donate to you, what could they donate to? What information?
They can go to our website. It's www.givinggrove.org.
All right. www.givinggrove.org. All right. Now, if they wanted to, so do you all have a Facebook also?
Yes, we do. You can find us called Giving Grove on Facebook. Most of the social media, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn are probably our most popular ones. And you can find us by searching Giving Grove. Any of them.
All right. Thank you, Sarah. Is it before we end? Because I think we hit a variety of questions. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you wanted to say?
No, I mean, these are great questions. I do want to just commend you guys, though. I come into contact with a lot of steward groups in my work, and the way you guys are running Carondelet Food Patch isn't normal. You guys are running it like a business, and it's really, and I hope that more people get to hear the story of your and I'm going to try my hardest to amplify that story, but I think that you guys are doing something really noble and really wonderful, and I hope yourselves.
Thank you very much. The work you're doing remind us that growing food can also mean growing power, healing, and connection. And we appreciate you, Sarah. Real talk. Thank you for this interview. It was everything I thought, and we'll get another one. And I can't wait to come back down there and hopefully see you when you come down here.
Of course. Yeah, I can't wait to go and visit your orchard.
Oh, man. It's looking good, too. It's looking good. All right. I know you had a long day. I'm going to let you go. And again, thank you, Sarah. And you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
Here at home, our soil tells its own story. The Carondelet Food Patch continues to serve as a space for healing, nourishment, and transformation. Our volunteer days, held on the first and the third Saturdays of each month, are growing in both hands and hearts. And we've got something big in the works. Originally planned for April, our community celebration has been rescheduled for May 31st. Same location, same love, same lineup. We're honored to welcome Richard Shaw Jr., aka Daddy Rich, who will be delivering a powerful motivational message. And Ray lay down the truth, bringing poetry to the soul. The message is simple. Grow with us. And if you've been looking for a way to plug in, this is it. The Floralia Fest. While we talk about what we're planting, we have to talk about what's being lost. Early Tuesday morning, just a few blocks from where some of us dream big, a 16-year-old boy named Jamad Edwards was gunned down in the Tower Grove East neighborhood. Another young life gone at 2:20 a.m. Another family shattered, another name added to the list of names we should never have to say. We can't ignore this, and we won't. What kind of neighborhood do you want to wake up in? When was the last time you checked in on a young person who might be hurting? How can urban farming and food justice serve as a bridge to peace and purpose in our community? What does real safety look like to you, and who's responsible for creating it? If you had one solution to offer for healing the streets, what would it be? Whether it's in the soil, on the mic, or in the streets, we're telling the stories of St. Louis, one seed at a time. Thank you for joining us on Voices of Carondelet, where the stories of our streets shine bright. Until next time, stay rooted in truth and keep growing forward.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, another pretty day. Bowling Green as far as St. Louis. It is officially barbecue weather. Vito banging that boy Tweez, huh? This is for Kings Highway. Hell no, you don't see me, ain't no money where you be at. Fuck, you gon' see me and they hate me where you be at. Now you don't see me as a sucker where you be at. No, you don't see me if they trippin' where you be at. That part, that one thing for certain, two things for sure. Wasn't invited, motherfucker, don't go. What you said, we were texting estimates. It is what it is, and make no mistake. Goddamn club got where it starts too late. Overwhelmed by foo-foo, too grown to play. Enjoy setting with friends, some real skip, reverse, change the color, draw for more. Now you don't see me, ain't no money where you be at. Fuck, you gon' see me and they hate me where you be at. Now you don't see me as a sucker where you be at. No, you don't see me if they trippin' where you be at. That part, that part, that part. When I step up in the place, that's guaranteed money. A lot of smiles and grins, but I don't see nothing funny. Had to cut them clowns short. No, I don't play dummy. Setting up the table, cause I know the meal is coming. I don't fuck with who you fuck with, I don't see the point. If I'm smoking big blunts, why you rolling joints? Never legal with the promos, the people choice. Champ for Bowling Green to Collegeville, I'm stamped. We made a count, why you hating on me? Cause it's slated for me. Need to get up off your ass, you might get in my G. Stop supporting them lanes, put more time in the game. Stop that capping type shit and stop passing the blame. I can't fuck with no haters, I done did that way back. Heart open, no jack, but homie became straight right. That's facts, so I move accordingly. Stay cornball free, man, you can't get close to me. Hell no, you don't see me, ain't no money where you be at. Fuck, you gon' see me and they hatin' where you be at. Now you don't see me as a sucker where you be at. No, you don't see me if they trippin' where you be at. That part, that part, that part, that part. You a fool, you don't matter. That part, that part, that part, that part. Yeah, let me, I wanna hear that one.
Destiny calling, Remember the falling, remember the falling. Stars steady falling, destiny calling. Remember the falling, remember the fall. I remember when it wasn't about hoes and thugs. Let's go back to the days when we were showing some love. Cause my city bigger than guns and drugs, and my city's bigger than shoes at clubs. I'm a chicken with a chicken, that was the mission. Relax and just sipping, no policy hidden. Burdens.
St. Louis, we got something special for you. Vito's Dispensary, now official in STL. Louiswood Production is the official retailer for Vito Vibes right here in St. Louis. Special deals, $25 for 3.5 grams, 2 for $40. Vito's Dispensary. Vito Vibes to STL. Get in on the movement. Get in on the deals. For more deals, go to www.vitosdispensary.com.
Like a ride, sexy model, rich, put that on the Bible. She don't get this. She says she like to ride, she slid in my ride. Hop in the whip, baby girl, you know we good. No Diddy, no Drake, let's get that understood. Might be some baby auto, a little smack, a little tussling, no fist, no. You know what's happening. Take a week off, queen. We going places. Where's Monaco Palaces? You gon' pack your shit. I know you got me on the back end. Oh, you gon' bring
goddamn plug got where it starts too late. Overwhelmed by foo-foo. Too grown play. Enjoy setting with friends. Some real love. Skip, reverse, change the color, draw for more.
Now you don't see me, ain't no money. Where you be at? Fuck, you gon' see me in the hate. Where you be at? Now you don't see me as a sucker. Where you be at? No, you don't see me if they trippin'. Where you be at? That part. That part. That part. That part. When I step up in the place, that's guaranteed money. A lot of smiles and grins, but I don't see nothing funny. Had to cut them clowns short. No, I don't play dummy. Setting up the table, cause I know the meal is coming. I don't fuck with who you fuck with, I don't see the
Black and white. Not what you think. I had a dream. Kids playing outside. Innocent, wild, loud. But it turned quiet the moment they turned on me. No words were spoken. No reasons was given. Like they'd rehearsed it before I even arrived. Black and white, not race, just contrast. Two tones that showed up when the illusion of gray fades. And in my life, the gray's been fading for a long time. See, I've been in rooms where I gave love and loyalty, only to be met with whispers behind curtains, shadows with names, smiles that rot behind the teeth. I've lifted others, held them up like a mirror showing them who they could be. And they nodded. They nodded hard, told me that's who they were. But then they dropped the act and turned on me too. It's been that way in the underground. 8 years deep. Same cycle, different names. New smiles, same betrayal.
I watched crews beef with others, loud, messy wars in the alleyways of ego, until one day they turned the corner and I was the enemy. But I never fired a shot. I just watched like I did in the dream, just stood there still, present, and they ran past me, ran at me, ran through me, black and white. And yeah, even in love, I've handed women their own light in words, spoke life into them, told them what I saw. Strength, grace, death. They repeated my words back to me like vows, until time tested them, until my reflection made them uncomfortable, and suddenly I was too much, too demanding, too real, black and white, not color, just clarity, just the sharp lines between who people say they are and who they reveal themselves to be. But I ain't bitter. I'm awake. I see it now. I see them. I see me. And I realize maybe I was never meant to fit into the chaos of the gray. Maybe I was meant to stand between the black and white, not blending in, but becoming the contrast.